In this session, I thought it would be a good idea to make you aware of something that is often overlooked by far too many bass players, and even those that have already been playing for a while. As we're at the start of these lessons, I think it's a perfect opportunity to share with you some advice about strap position, how to wear your bass, and how some small changes now can greatly help you in the future. Being able to play any musical instrument requires some form of interaction. The bass guitar, as we've already seen, is just a collection of wood, metal, a few strings and a handful of electrical components. Now, when I say it like that, the instrument that we both love doesn't actually sound that exciting, does it? But unfortunately, that's all that it is, unless we interact with it. Suddenly, together with the bass, we have an amazing ability to get people to move and dance, and to feel our emotions through the music that we play. Unfortunately, far too many players never actually develop these deeper levels of interaction with their basses because they don't pay attention to the small details that together add up to make the bigger differences. So, let's have a look at how we interact with the bass. To help you grasp and better understand this concept and make it work for you, let's say that there are three main areas that we use to interact with the bass. Two of these are quite obviously our left and right hands, and for the purpose of these sessions I'll always refer to this one as the fretting hand and this one as the plucking hand. Now, it's so very important that we interact using our hands and our hands only to play the instrument and not to hold or support its weight. This is where we need our third area, which can be described as the torso. Now, all of this wood and metal weighs something, and having been told that we shouldn't be using our hands to hold the instrument up, then hopefully you can begin to see how important it is to let your body and your body only take the physical weight of the bass. This is where our strap comes in. It's this rather unassuming strip of material that allows our body to take the weight of the bass and leave our fretting and plucking hands totally free just to play it. We'll talk about the strap, and in particular its length, very soon. But for now, just put your bass on and just take a look at how it balances. Now, in most cases, basses tend to be what we call head heavy. This is because typically the headstock has several metal tuners mounted to it, and when we wear the bass, it's this mass and weight that wants to pull the headstock downwards. Just take a moment to see how your bass balances, and whether the headstock wants to move towards the floor. But don't panic if it wants to nosedive. Let it. After all, this is what it naturally wants to do. Okay, you might have already been playing your bass for some time with this head-heavy balance occurring naturally every time you put it on, and I guarantee that you would be using your fretting hand to try and hold the neck up in an attempt to counteract the heavy headstock. Now, wouldn't your fretting hand have a far easier job if its sole purpose was just to fret the notes using good technique? Of course it would. See, you're already starting to appreciate the benefits of a headless bass, and this is one of the main reasons why they were designed in the first place. What I want you to do now is lengthen your strap significantly and then put your bass back on. Notice how the weight in the body of the bass takes over and heads towards the floor, this time swinging the neck upwards. Now, most of you will be loving how this looks, but before you rush off to rock out in front of a wall of amps and speaker cabinets, let's just have a quick look at our plucking hand. In order to play a bass that's down by our ankles, we would have to reach down to the strings with our plucking hand. This action of reaching down towards the string has a tendency to tense up our forearms and fingers, which in turn makes plucking the strings of the bass that much harder to do, especially if we want to pluck them with any degree of accuracy and consistency. In a nutshell, trying to play a bass down by your ankles puts unnecessary strain on your plucking hand and severely limits the development of better and much more efficient technique. So, How long should we have the strap and how should we wear the base? Well, firstly, I'm a firm believer that how you wear your base should ultimately be comfortable. After all, everyone's different and unfortunately there's no one-size-fits-all rule that applies here. Go with what works, but, as we've already seen, there are some really significant points to take into consideration when making adjustments to your strap. The biggest piece of advice I can give you is that the strap should be of a length that allows your base to balance evenly on your body, allowing your fretting and plucking hands just to get on with their individual roles. The sooner you can make this happen, the quicker, better technique will develop. Now, I settled on my strap length after really looking into all of the areas that I've just shared with you. So hopefully you'll be able to really fine-tune how you interact with your base. As you can see, the base balances in a natural way on my body, although some of you may be thinking that my base seems a little high due to the strap being so short, but there is a reason for this. I, as most people, do most of my practicing sat down, so I settled on a strap length that will ultimately hold my base in the same position regardless of whether I was standing or whether I was sitting. This way, any technique that I learn sat down feels exactly the same when I apply it stood up, as I'm always interacting with my base in the same way. Once I found the strap length that perfectly suited my needs, I permanently fixed the strap at that length to prevent it from changing in the future. I strongly suggest that you try these ideas for yourself, and I think you'll be amazed at how these simple and quite sometimes overlooked points can make a big difference to how you play and how you interact with your base. Good luck and I'll see you next time.